What if everything you thought you knew about the economy and sustainability was missing the full picture? At the 2024 ISPA conference in St. Pete, Florida, I sat in on 2 sessions that flipped conventional wisdom upside down, from why boomers are actually driving spending right now to why saying nothing about sustainability might be just as risky as saying too much. In this episode, we're going to walk you through the unexpected insights you haven't heard on the news, but you're going to hear them here. Big thanks to Allison, ISPA, Ryan Trainer, Mary Helen, and the entire team at ISPA, the Mattress Recycling Council, Sleep Savvy, Bedtimes for hosting an insightful event. The FAM podcast starts right now.
Customers want to reach you as quickly as possible. And more often than not, that's through the phone. Actually, 71% of customers still contact local businesses over the phone. And more phone calls mean more leads. But it's hard to keep up while also keeping your business running. That's why we made Podium Phones. Podium Phones makes your business easier to reach than ever. It helps turn more callers into customers without increasing the amount of time your team spends on the phone. In fact, 1 in 4 callers choose to text instead, saving businesses time every day. Best of all, every call can be managed and measured right from the Podium dashboard, either through your web browser or the Podium mobile app. In one tool, you can handle your calls, texts, reviews, and so much more. Stop leaving leads on the line. Get started with Podium Phones today.
Welcome to the FAM podcast with Mark Kinsley. This is where the best in the betting business get even better.
Hey fam, Mark Kinsley here, coming at you from the backside of being at the ISPA 2024 conference down in St. Petersburg. And I also had a chance to head 2 hours south to Bonita Springs and tack on time to see the #1 most impressive mattress factory I've ever been in. I've been in a bunch. It's the Prana Sleep Factory. And I'll have some more updates about that. It was a really cool experience. Amazing people. Thank you to Helen, to Jason, to Brett, to Christina, and the entire team for being such amazing hosts. I'm so excited to share more about Prana Sleep. But we got to take you back to the ISPA conference because it really 2 things stood out. There are lots of conversations about sustainability, and there are lots of conversations about the economy. So those are 2 of the areas that I was really taken with from a session standpoint. So let's start by talking about sustainability because Scott Case did a fantastic job. Now, he's the vice president of CSR and sustainability at the National Retail Federation. And he's really a dynamic guy. Actually, his family had been in the mattress industry like 100 years ago, and he could trace back efforts towards sustainability all the way to his family. So it was really one of those sessions where I was surprised at the direction that it went, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about sustainability and about where consumers actually land on sustainability. So I've got some sound bites here. Now, I did some interesting things. Okay, what you're going to hear are not actually the voices of the 2 people that spoke at the conference, but I recorded everything into a transcription app using AI. I took that transcription and I put it into 11 labs. If anybody knows me right now, they know I'm sort of following all things AI. So I'm always trying to give you some insights into this. So I took the quotes that I wanted to feature here on the show, and I put them into 11 labs, and I turned those into sound bites. So these are computer generated voices. So sorry to Mr. Christopher Kuehl, sorry to Scott Case, but I didn't have a recorder close enough to them to capture the audio in high quality. And I wanted you to hear what they had to say. So these are their digital surrogates for the day. Without further ado, let's kick it off with one of the most powerful metaphors I've heard for what sustainability actually is and why it's so hard to get everyone on the same page.
Sustainability is like that ancient story of the blind elders trying to describe an elephant. One feels the trunk and thinks it's a snake. Another touches the side and says it's a wall. They all argue because they're all describing the same beast. That beast is sustainability, and the challenge is retailers, manufacturers, and consumers are all touching different parts of the elephant and trying to sell products based on their version of reality.
Yeah, so if everybody's coming at it from a different side, we have a communication crisis related to sustainability. And so if everybody's touching a different part of the elephant and they can't see it, they're just going to end up screaming at each other saying, no, it's this, and that's what's happening. The other thing that Mr. Case got into is this idea of, okay, if nobody can agree on what sustainability is, and we're all coming at it screaming from our different perspective and touching the elephant, a lot of companies are like, okay, I'm just not going to say anything at all. And there's a word for that. You may have heard of greenwashing. This is called greenhushing.
It's almost impossible to make a sustainability claim that someone won't call greenwashing because everyone defines it differently. So some companies just stop talking altogether. That's greenhushing. They're afraid to even mention the recycled materials they're using or the waste they've reduced. And the truth? Both approaches, saying too much or saying nothing, carry risks.
So what do? It seems like a lose opportunity. You know, if you say something about your sustainability efforts and the purists that are touching the elephant call you out on it, then you're just in a quagmire from a communication and PR standpoint. And so a lot of times people are like, all right, I'm not going to say anything at all. But don't give up, because focusing on sustainability is going to matter to a percentage of the consumers. And those consumers are going to be willing to pay more. And one of the ways they're going to start navigating this, according to Mr. Case, and to me as well, I agree with this, is they're going to start using technology. And it's already happening at scale. And it's going right back to these voices that you're hearing right now. It's powered by AI.
Retailers are sitting on mountains of data. With AI-powered shopping agents, if the system sees that Kate buys more sustainable products than most people, it'll start recommending sustainable items to her, because she's more likely to pay more. It's just like when a retailer found people who bought antacids also bought Shania Twain CDs and moved her music to the antacid aisle. Sales went through the roof. Retailers didn't need to understand why. AI just works.
So that's a bit of a funny, unexpected connection that people that needed antacids were also buying Shania Twain CDs. And so, you know, they took the Alka-Seltzer and the Tums and they put it right over beside The Woman and Me, and she started selling more CDs. Those sort of anecdotes, those sort of creative connections between why people are buying certain things and what they're buying that might be adjacent to that category, technology is going to figure it out. And it doesn't matter why to the computers. They're just going to be able to sync those things up, and they're going to be served more of those items. And AI is quietly creating this personalized green economy. And if you think about it from an algorithmic standpoint, you know, what do you end up seeing more of? You end up seeing more of what you like. And that's why TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and even LinkedIn are going to start showing you more and more of what you click on, what you watch more of. And so if you're a person that is into sustainability and you're going to pay more for it, your feeds are going to start becoming filled up more and more, because you're going to send off signals to the AI that says, this is meaningful to me. This is what I want. And so it's going to feed you more of that. And it's going to go out and search for more of that, because it's able to synthesize the internet into something meaningful for this individual and feed you a response. So AI is going to make that green shopper even better at their job. Okay. So we kind of got to this idea of the elephant, you know, touching the elephant from different parts, and we end up screaming at each other because we don't know. Nobody sees it from our perspective. And then we got into greenhushing. All right, forget about it. I'm not going to say anything, but that's bad as well, because now you're going to have an AI shopper, AI powered shopper that's going to be able to find these type of brands. So you want to be relevant, especially if you're playing in that space. So what do you do? What do you do? And this is where the idea that Mr. Case brought to the table was quality equals sustainability.
A more durable product is a more sustainable product, and it's also a higher quality product. That's the magic overlap. Consumers might not understand carbon offsetting or life cycle analysis, but they get quality. If you're selling something that lasts longer, performs better, and looks great, tell that story. It is sustainability.
All right, so there it is. I mean, the surrogate for sustainability is going to be quality, because if I'm making a mattress that I know is durable and I can prove those claims, then I know that mattress is going to last longer for the consumer. And that means it's going to stay out of the landfill longer, because its life cycle is just going to extend beyond the junk that's going to break down and end up, you know, taking up all that space in the landfill. And, you know, those items are hard to break down. So, the quality story, this one gets a little tricky for the mattress industry too, because, the 25-year warranties and the 20-year warranties, we've accordioned those down so that the consumer has a better expectation about the realistic comfort life of a product. And also, as an industry, we've wanted to increase sales through, ensuring that people are replacing them in a reasonable time frame. And so that has been sort of the two sides of the balance that we've been trying to figure out. So if you're still wondering, okay, is this all worth it? Here's what retailers have figured out.
Retailers are realizing, even if it's just 2 or 3% of customers who care deeply about sustainability, that's still a lot of money. That's why they're compiling sustainability profiles on everything they sell. They're asking for more data from suppliers. They're building systems to surface those products online. Not because they're tree huggers, because it makes them more money.
Comes down to the mighty dollar. My father-in-law said one time, the answer to the question 99 times out of 100 is money. The other one time, Jesus. Okay, so that's the sustainability conversation. I thought it was very insightful. Great job to ISPA bringing that to the table, because it's one of those weird things. It's like we have options for sustainable products. We have, natural tallow latex in Prana Sleep mattresses, for example. We have these products that are going to last a long time, but it's always been that tug of, okay, am I going to invest in this as a retailer, as a manufacturer? Is the consumer going to pay for it? Well, clearly it's going to be a more surgical effort to get to the people that do care the most and are willing to put their wallets behind it. But that is going to get much easier because people are going to be able to track that essentially through AI. So quality is going to equal sustainability. We're all screaming at this elephant from different angles, but it's a real part of the process for us. And I think the mattress industry is on the hook to prove to consumers and retailers that, we're doing something about it. And that was the other thing that he brought up, Mr. Case brought up, is the consumer these days looks to the retailer to be the one that is driving sustainability. So I think that probably comes down to the retailer being a good steward of searching for products that would fit the criteria the consumer would have. So they're looking for them to truly be a merchandiser in that way and to curate those goods. And that's where you gain brand trust too. That's where the consumer is going to gain more trust with the retailer. All right, so all of this is great. Sustainability, we're leaning into it. We're figuring it out. Maybe it's crawl, walk, run. That's fine. But what about the broader economy? We want to talk about the economy. So it was a great session from a Kansas City-based economist who goes by, he's actually on TV up there quite a bit. His name is Christopher Kuehl. He's a PhD. He's the managing partner, co-founder of Armada Corporate Intelligence. A really funny guy too. I mean, he sat up on stage. He had a back surgery that didn't go so well, so he had to sit the whole time. But he had some zingers. But he talked about where we are today versus what you see on the news. And I thought this was a great way to frame it up. Like, let's not just focus on the zeitgeist and the chaos creators and the fact that news is there for your entertainment. Okay. Once news became 24-hour cycle, it was no longer news. It was entertainment. And he says we're in the middle of a K-shaped, K as in Kinsley, K-shaped recovery. Okay. So what does that mean? Just imagine the two sides of the K. One is going up and one's going down.
We're in the middle of a K-shaped recovery, and we've never seen anything like this before. The upper third of income earners, they're fine. They're still spending, still driving the economy. The lower third, they checked out 2 years ago. They're barely making their minimum payments. If your business is aimed at that group, you're suffering. But Nordstrom, they're having a great year. Walmart, not so much. That middle third is where the fight is now, because they're still spending as long as they feel secure in their jobs.
This is the barbell economy I've talked about on the show before. So imagine a barbell, it's thin in the middle. It's got big weights on either side. Those big weights are the people. So people who are struggling and then people who have cash. And like you said, the upper third is still spending like pre-pandemic levels. And that lower third, man, gone. The middle third, conditional spenders. So if your mattress business is targeting that lower third, you're probably feeling some pain. So that's why a lot of people are trying to bring on higher ticket items that do check those quality equals sustainability boxes. They're aiming higher, and that's going to give them a lot more opportunity. With all that said, you got people at the upper end doing fine. You got people at the lower and not doing fine. People in the middle, I'm going to take it one step at a time. I'm a conditional spender. With that in mind, I think he said it like this: consumers are squirrels.
Consumers are squirrels. They're shocked every day the sun comes up. You can shift consumer behavior overnight with the smallest story. In Kansas City, we studied consumer confidence. It was sky high after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. But when the Royals started losing again, boom, confidence dipped. Has nothing to do with economics. That's how irrational consumers are.
So he was in Kansas City, obviously the Kansas City Chiefs, great football team. The Kansas City Royals, not so much. And so he's saying essentially like, okay, when the Chiefs are doing well, everybody's happy, we're spending money, and then baseball season rolls around and our team sucks, and then we stop spending money. That is not logical behavior. That's emotional volatility, and it affects buying far more than logic. So, use your storytelling, use your emotion, use your brand trust to connect with that irrational behavior, but don't expect perfect rationality. Expect like this unpredictability that is happening. But maybe you can figure out those waves you can ride as well, like when the Chiefs are doing well. Okay, now what about the home? So we got into a little bit of this from an economic standpoint. The home is the new hot zone for spending. The home is the new hot zone for spending. So where is that irrational spending going right now in the home? And this is where the mattress industry has a serious edge. And think about boomers.
Boomers are slowing down, sometimes against their will, and they're spending differently. They used to go out. Now they say, why don't I just stay home? So we're seeing more money going into the home. Fix the French door, replace the 30-year-old guest room mattress. Those are the spending triggers now. The bed becomes the star. That's your moment if you're in this industry.
That's right. So boomers are nesting. They're spending more in their home, more in the bedroom. They like to sleep. They want to get a good night's sleep. When people come to visit, maybe they want the guest bed to be nice. Maybe they're not sleeping in the same room, so maybe they're dual sleeping situations. So that 30-year-old mattress or that 20-year-old mattress in the primary or in the guest room, they're getting rid of it. They're spending and they're making sure that their space is comfortable and that these golden years are truly golden. Now, from a zoom out standpoint, from a macro standpoint, we are not heading into a recession, according to Dr. Kuehl. Despite what the headlines say, the actual numbers tell a different story. So here's a bit of a refreshing perspective that you're not going to hear on cable news.
We're just not seeing the kind of data that suggests a recession. Not now and not even in the medium term. In fact, corporate capital spending is at record levels, close to $75 billion a year. Everyone's investing in AI, robotics, automation. Even the smallest manufacturers, 15 or 20 people, are buying robots because they don't have the labor. That's not what you hear in the headlines, but it's what's actually happening.
I think that's the key. What does the data actually suggest versus if it bleeds, it leads? People talk about the emotion of the consumer. We are wired to pay attention to that which is a threat. And so what is the news going to do? It's actually going to put stuff up there that seems threatening. And so what do the numbers say? Corporate investment is booming. AI and automation are filling labor gaps across all businesses of any size. So don't let the doom cycle of media derail your business strategy. There are still positive signals. And like Dr. Kuehl said, we're not in a recession, no matter what anybody says about the R word. So, okay, great, but eggs are still expensive. My groceries are still super high. That's going to stick around.
The biggest driver of inflation? Wages. And workers know they have leverage. If you want to keep your people or hire new ones, you're going to have to pay more. That's not changing. A company that used to get 100 applicants for a $100,000 job, now they get 2. And those 2 tell you what the job offer will be. That's the labor market now.
Yeah, labor shortages equal wage pressure equal higher costs for the items you sell. You're not, as an employer, in the driver's seat anymore. Talent is. And by all metrics and by all signals, this will continue to drive prices up, including in the mattress industry. And maybe the reprieve there that you might feel is if you are targeting higher end clients with your mattress store, like I said in the very beginning, this is that barbell economy. The people at the lower end have checked out, but the people that have money, that top third, they're still spending. So they are in the driver's seat when it comes to getting the jobs. They're in the driver's seat because they're able to drive up the wages, so they're going to get paid more, which means the people that have the money are going to continue to have the money, and they're going to want to hopefully get a good night's sleep. So it really does help tell me we need to be focusing on the higher end. And I've seen a lot of retailers out there, really sharp retailers, looking at adding products above $5,000 and putting together programs with those products to create set sales. So what are the items that you can get where you're going to have to actually sell the differentiated adjustable base to support some functionality that the mattress delivers to that consumer? So, okay, there you have it. Quick episode here about the unexpected truths about sustainability, consumer behavior, the real state of the economy. Thank you so much to the team at ISPA. Thank you, Allison Keene, for hosting us. Mary Helen, congratulations again to Ryan Trainer. Thank you to the Mattress Recycling Council and Sleep Savvy and Bedtimes. They do great stuff for this industry. I love their data. And of course, thanks to you for tuning in. Join us every Monday, right here on the FAM podcast. And if you got some value from this episode, please share it with someone in the mattress industry, the retail business. And remember, sometimes the biggest advantage is knowing what no one else is paying attention to. Join us back here every Monday. Be sure to head over to thefam.com, subscribe to our newsletter, and we'll see you back here next week.